Guys, we are back today. It's Sunday. We're here at the Mecca, Tony Doherty's gym here in Brunswick. Anyone doesn't know who Tony Doherty is, he's the godfather of bodybuilding here in Australia. Let's go.
Get down in the car, one time give it all, bust it open hard, let me see you drop. Get down in the car.
I'm just gonna claim this right now. You have 30 kilos on me.
I just want to see the push, that's all.
Let me see you drop.
I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up.
Guys, we are back today. It's Sunday. We're here at the Mecca, Tony Doherty's gym here in Brunswick. Anyone doesn't know who Tony Doherty is, he's the godfather of bodybuilding here in Australia. IFBB, the man, runs a whole lot. He's made it happen. So, unfortunately, we were due to catch up with him. He had to fly out for business today to Adelaide, I think it was. But we're going to be here getting an upper body session. We're going to do like an arm, shoulder sort of stability.
Rehab, basically,
Yeah.
it's an integration of like how you can use training arms to make sure that you're rehabilitating or prehab your shoulder injuries. It's obviously a common one that we see within like the industry. Is like guys will have some form of fucked up shoulders. It's like, well, now you can utilize training arms to effectively stop those pains and aches and niggles within your shoulders and like make sure that you continue training in the gym and also grow your arms at the same time, because you can't have.
Pretty much what he said is we're fucking sore from the last 2 days and we're bitching it, and we're going to come in and just do some arms. So
Yeah.
a little bit of shoulders.
I'm all in. All in. Yeah. Yeah. I'm all in. I'm all in. Yeah. I'm all in. All in. I'm all in. Yeah. I'm all in. Yeah. I'm all in.
Pretty much going to start the same as we started the last session you saw us at one gym. So it's just going to do through some scapular retraction, serratus when we're doing our pull downs, just trying to fire up. It's pretty much our staple with the workouts. A bit of rear delt, a bit of overhead, trying to get external rotation. That's what we always stick to. It works really well for us on upper body day. Sometimes do some like lower trap work as well. But we'll be like over there on the tricep extension and just really pushing down, create as much stability as possible before we do it. Like if we're doing any overhead pressing or just general pressing movement, any rows. Yeah. Yeah. Done well. Just go on my Instagram and you get it from there. We're shooting here today, so we're getting some content here. Tell me something.
Where's your fans?
What's my?
Where's your fans?
What's my fans?
What? Your fans?
Your fans? I got no fans. I'm the silent one who just sits around in the corner. I'm like that. I was gonna make a real bad joke. The one who sits in the corner and watches. But that's probably that's
So
probably
appropriate, man.
That's so appropriate, but also at the same time, maybe, you know.
I'm not questioning what you guys do outside of our filming time.
Pops up, come sit.
Should Em be worried?
Just sit, yeah, no, it's like Amber. I was about to say, it's just the unicorn, just sit in the corner and just watch everything going down.
He doesn't have any fans.
I have no fans.
Yeah.
See, that's what it's like being with this.
It's just
This thing.
it's just because the camera's out, you know? That's it. Big core, you can't miss him. I'll make that a little bit of it. Feel every bit of that soreness from yesterday.
Yeah, my bad.
Fighting over Gatorades.
That's why we always take the label off. See, smart.
Leaving friends on the lid.
Pull the scabs back, hold them there the whole time. Go, stop it.
We're going in traction.
Go too far forward over. So go all the way back, stop it. So that would be a lot more like rear delt. Yep. Pull more into external rotation. Yeah, good. Keep impinged. Better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going. I was starting to sit.
Yeah, so if you go,
Protraction,
so
yeah.
it's fine if you like. So there's face pulls are a shitty exercise. Okay, so face pulls are a shitty exercise for rear delts because the breakdown within the movement is going to come from your inability to stay in a retracted or protracted position out of your scapula. So you either need to be in a protracted position, staying there, and then trying to go through that external rotation, which is really shit when you're in protraction. It's usually better in a retracted position and trying to put your shoulder blades back and down to a certain degree. So we need to do that to then isolate the rear delts. Otherwise, the rhomboids take over in the whole pulling movement. So if you're trying to isolate your rear delts and you're trying to do it in a face pull, so we had a question around like...
Here it is, yeah. So last night I put up some questions for YouTube and I had Sarah come back and said, so upper body exercise she struggles with, like us to demonstrate or talk about. Cable face pulls, never feels close to failure or even get a burn. So the burn sensation, she's going for that. So this is where James is answering this question about how she can work the cable, or how you're meant to execute the cable face pulls. So a lot of people, like I said,
Yeah.
rowing a lot of the time, or pulling right back, not actually using the rear delt, remembering the rear delt is a small muscle and its function with the shoulder. So James saying for you to correctly isolate the rear delt, you either sit in protraction, retraction.
Retraction is going to be
better.
generally better, and most people can stay in a retracted position for longer, and then you can isolate those rear delts. The face pull is a shitty movement for the rear delt though. So if you're going to try and isolate your rear delt, I would prefer that you do it either like a rear delt or a pec deck is probably slightly better because you've got a little bit more external stability and you can keep yourself a little bit more like locked down. Or are we going to a single arm rear delt pull with the cable? We're going to set that up next as part of our warm up, and we'll demonstrate that quite nicely there. But you're basically going to be able to stay in that retracted position and just pull back into that rear delt in that shortened position of the delt. It's a very short movement. That's what a lot of people don't like remember. Is you're not trying to lengthen your delts. You can't lengthen your delts in that position. It's not the purpose or the intention behind the exercise. The intention is to drive force into that shortened position, and it's literally like a movement like that, where we're just trying to contract or shorten the rear delt as best as possible.
And look, for me, usually for rear delt exercise, I won't do a cable face pull. I'm not a big fan of it either. For myself, I'll do what we just said, the single arm, which we'll do next. Or I do I'm a big fan of like the seated cable rear delt row. So I'll sit there and put myself in that retraction, short movements, and it's like that. That's probably one of my favorite.
Like a rear delt row.
Yeah, rear delt row.
Most people will be able to isolate that better, and they're going to be able to stay in that retracted position to then drive that force into their rear delt.
Short movements, but it works really well.
We need to make that more concise, because that's too long for a reel. Yeah. Pull further back, stop there, just go a little bit forward, stop. Yeah, clouds on. And I'll try them out a little bit more. Good, so we're isolating the rear delt. Nicely, he's got a good line of pull with like the cable, in line with where he goes for the delt fibers or the rear delt fibers. Very short movement, so he's not trying to over lengthen it and let it go too far forward. He's getting a nice full contraction at the back here while keeping his scapula as stable and kind of as retracted as possible. As we kind of said before, if he loses it in the scap, he's going to start utilizing his rhomboids. As soon as he uses rhomboids, we take tension away from the rear delt, which is kind of nicely.
So pumped right now.
Good, there we go.
And it's not heavy.
It's not heavy.
Mistakes everyone makes. Rear delt, small muscle again. You get too heavy, well, the rhomboid takes over. The upper trap takes over. So small little movements, isolate that rear delt, pump it full of blood. go. Go lock down and see that. Good. Up there. All in the blood in there.
You and your terminology
I know,
today
right?
is so
Today's
on
just-
you're on
just
point.
Tired,
always-
frustrated.
always
I just had
about-
too many blondes.
It's
in my
bonds,
mind.
and then he's talking about girth, and he's talking about breaking your back. Look out, girls.
Huh?
You.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Help it. Some more.
Alright. So we're at range guard, good boy.
I'm good. I'll probably turn it off this one thing. Yeah. Yeah, good. There. So posture up. Good. So we got like a simulated delt machine here. It's a tricep exercise, can be a little bit of like pec depending on like how the torso angle fits in. But this is where we like look at exercise order within our programming to make sure that we're going to get the best for the long run and like get the best of the rest of the workout. So it's a first exercise, it is a mid-range, we can load, we can get the triceps working, but we're actually using it to help with a little bit of like shoulder problems, and that's part of this whole workout, is we tend to find like an inability for our lower traps and essentially our upper traps as well to pull eccentrically or concentrically when we do upward or downward rotation of the scapula. So we have a lower trap affinity here to really pull our scap down, so to contract and pull the scapula down, or back and down, at that bottom of that movement of the tricep push down. Now, you can utilize this to help kind of help with like wing scap. Like wing scap is when we sit with like guys with their shoulders back and concave, and it tends to be our inability for our scapula to go to our rib cage. So what we're going to try to do is we sit in a bit of a flex position, we then press down and we get the lower traps to kind of contract and pull the scapula towards the rib cage. So we're effectively rehabilitating our scapula's function by integrating our lower traps while in a tricep movement, getting a little bit of like triceps obviously functioning to stabilize the shoulder. But we're able to integrate like rehabilitation while still training instead of lying on the floor and doing fucking Y raises and bullshit. It's like Matt's too big for that. Like Matt doesn't want to sit on the floor and like taste the dirt that someone's walked in. It's like he's not going to make a change to his structure. We have to load it with appropriate mediums to make sure that we get the best out of it from them.
Did you get all that?
I did. Spot on. That's what I would say.
The other thing of that is like a lot of people may not be able to do like a tricep push down in this variation. It's like they may feel like a little bit of shoulder pain or like anterior delt pain. You can literally take this in a regression from this pattern. You just go to a cable, and you're going to do a straight bar push down on the cable, and you're going to still stay in that position. All that we're going to do is we rocked our shoulders back and down, and we're able to go through the tricep movement. As soon as you fail in your lower traps, don't have the ability to contract and keep us stable in that position, your shoulders are going to shrug up, and our lower traps are not necessarily doing the job of helping stabilizing the scap. Like that's the end of your set, but like that's your regression of this movement. Now, that may be something that you just add in when you start like warming up with your presses or your upper body day, and eventually that turns into moving to this machine. Like every exercise needs to have an index and have a regression and a progression to it, not just thinking about it from like its main muscle group that it's working. Let's think like main muscle group of what it's working, let's think secondary and tertiary benefits of the exercise at the same time. And you can like look at a program and go, okay, I want to bring up the secondary benefit of this exercise to help me in the long run for my whole program. So I can take this, if he can't do this, I'll go put him on a cable and get him to do tricep push downs before we go and press and go overhead, because he's going to be more stable when we go overhead.
It's usually what we do as well. Done that last week, that's how we started our push day. Doing that stuff, so. The scapular winging, it's funny when people don't understand what that looks like. I have to like get up, pull it up on like a photo, because you see it quite a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's usually when it's on fatigue as well, serratus.
Well, it's lower trap. So scapular or winging scap is like seen as a postural problem or postural deficiency. Yeah. The problem is like the lower traps are not doing their job of being able to pull that scap back to the rib cage. It's like, and a lot of people have a problem with doing that, and it is difficult. But we can think about it from that other intervention of instead of bringing the scap to the rib cage, if someone can't do that, let's bring the rib cage to the scapula and take the tension away, and then allow the lower traps, upper traps, serratus, like everything that's involved within the scap's movement. It's like we can allow that to then start doing its job instead of like not knowing what to do. It's the same kind of principle of like most people can understand a squat. Like can perform a squat to a certain degree, or they pick up the movement pattern because they eccentrically load into the position. A lot of people will really struggle with a deadlift because a deadlift is a concentric movement. Not a lot of people can understand how to keep tight and pull up. But if you want to teach someone a deadlift, you start them with like an RDL and you put them here and you push them into that position. They can filter themselves into the position that they need to be in to start, but they can't start in the position that need to filter. So if we understand that principle or that concept when we start teaching or learning skills, it's like, okay, instead of not knowing how to contract our muscle effectively, or like our lower traps bring our scapula, it's like, let's bring the base that the lower trap is attached to and the scap, bring it to the scapula so that we can then reintroduce the pattern that it needs to be able to move into, versus trying to just teach it how to be there. It's a little like, it's a skill acquisition thing. It's how you like start teaching movement patterns. So it's like, that's how the body learns, by being in the position or going into the position and then coming out of that position.
How's your pump feeling?
Yeah, it's good. I've just lost it now.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
that's a 10-minute conversation on a fucking tricep push down.
I needed the break though, so. Find that hard inside, isn't it?
No, it's not bad. We could load that if we wanted to.
Oh, we could, but like that's where I'll start to.
But that's where you struggle with the shoulder. What are we trying to achieve? A sick pump.
Fun.
That's always the goal.
I'll get that one too.
I'll push that, hold there. Push down. Lift. Yeah.
Got what I wanted. A little bit of anterior delt.
Matty thinks his anterior delts are too small. Yeah, he's delusional, but that's also no problem.
I feel I've lost a bit of fullness through the anterior delt. because I wasn't in my pressing movements. I had a weaker chest.
Yeah.
So I had to fix up my pressing movement, so I wasn't using as much tricep and anterior delt. And now I feel like I lost a little performance, but James thinks I haven't. He's just been a nice friend.
Machines either skew or the bars are skewed.
Right? Yes.
Little fun fact when like looking at machines, because most machines are built for like the average human being, which is not him. It's like when you look at a machine to effectively challenge us, like what we're trying to do is obviously a press movement here, either like pick a little bit more anterior delt. So I picked a machine that's actually fitting his shoulder width really nicely. Like try and find machines that are going to be more in line with your shoulder width, and you'll end up having less shoulder issues, less kind of pec issues in the long run as well. So luckily enough, hammer strength or life fitness tend to make a pretty good press in some that you can manipulate around. Got neutral grip, can go pronated as well. It's a decent equipment.
That's it. That actually feels really nice. I haven't done any pressing movements like that for a while. I haven't been allowed to. My question is, what do you reckon he's listening to? I reckon his playlist is Avril Lavigne or Taylor Swift.
50 cents straight to the bank,
50
baby.
Cent. It's definitely Taylor Swift. That's his go-to song, getting going. I don't know what we do.
We'll do it next time. We know what we need to do.
Easy. When you stop. Easy. See, this is the James I like.
How many did you get?
I think 10, 11.
I got 10.
See?
10 or 11? What did you get?
Might have been
10
12.
or 11? 10 or 11?
I'll give you 10.
You gotta get 11 now. You gotta get 11 now.
I'm gonna do the whole stack. I'm not gonna leave you without doing the whole stack, guys.
Well, then go whole stack. Let's go.
Camera's on, pressure's on.
Don't fuck up.
I love a challenge.
It's not on the full stack.
It's not whole stack.
Yeah, a little bit lower. What do you want? What number? Give me a number.
I'm rapping.
Let's go. 1, 2. Come on. 3. I'm gonna chase you. 5. Come on. 6. 7. 8. Give me a number.
Get it. Get it.
9.5. I feel sure I had 10 in me.
I need to rest longer because I'm not I'm gonna get 6.
I want you to think about all that pizza and pasta we had last night.
I'm just gonna claim this right now. You have 30 kilos on me. I'm just throwing it out there.
I just want to see the push, that's all. You know, I love seeing someone have a crack on me. go. 2, 3, 4, 5. No. 6, you're gonna stop. 7, 9.
I'm gonna beat you.
8.
8.
He's so close.
I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to go again. Where has this been the whole time? Since you never trained shoulders, that's what I like. Pressing anyway. Should say never trained shoulders.
Then to warm up. That's so. Push up, not across as you come in.
That's pretty heavy. What do you think?
I think we need to get one of those for photos before we leave.
So make the most of what I've got called. I need a little stringer.
Or you could just take that off.
Neck
and
minute, he
you're
just
still in
strips it off.
Sorry, Muscle Nation. Nice, bro.
It doesn't create a difference though. It's like you're still taking out the ability to create peripheral stability. So peripheral stability is like the shoulder has to get the signal from like the cerebral cerebellum of like this has to be stabilized and this is locked out. The only thing that cups do is change the lever links. It's the only thing that they actually do, and then they can cause more like problems around stability at the shoulder because we're not relying on the musculature around the shoulder to stabilize the shoulders and then produce force on the delt. It can create more tension, yes, but you'll be very careful with like more tension while there's not stability at the shoulder leads to shoulder problems or pec problems. It's like the inability to actually get overhead correctly. Both of us have from that side. So it's like all that's happening is like you've got a short lever, you can essentially lift more weight because like you're here and you're going up versus a longer lever with the torque. So it's like that's why I'm always going to go that cuff, like a non-cuff where you're grabbing. It's like I can create tension, I get peripheral feedback. So you can actually find where you need to press, where you need to pull to create that, like get into that neutral plane. Versus as soon as you got a cuff on, it's like you're isolating the delt, yes. It's like the delt has more than the function of just like origin to insertion. The delt helps us with external rotation. The delt helps us with something called like glenohumeral depression. So glenohumeral depression is essentially pulling our humerus up into that joint. It's like that's the muscle of the delt holds on. It's like it attaches down here and it attaches up here. It holds your arm in the shoulder. Like the problem with like just hypertrophying this doesn't mean that it's then performing its function of holding this. You see big like guys who deadlift, like when they deadlift and they're holding suitcase carries and shit like that, that delt explodes up. Why? Because the arm's trying to be pulled right out of its fucking socket. So it's like the delt is actually creating stability at the shoulder and holding the arm in place. Like that's quite important.
Yeah.
So it's like not overdoing it and like doing one versus the other, I think is the key factor with all this. Like you can't just do action-based movements of origin to insertion all the time. So that's where we start seeing like functional problems. And when I say functional, I don't mean like functional fitness. I mean like the ability to function. It's like that's where I hate to say it. It's like M couldn't decelerate, so his shoulder had a problem. It's like, so if I throw a punch or I throw something, it's like, and if I create force and I push this way, if I don't have the ability to slow down my arm, the delt essentially creating that tension, slowing that down or deceleration, what happens? The musculature at the back, your rotator cuff, your serratus, supinatus, like all of those kind of come in. It's like that then has to do what the delt was supposed to do. It didn't do that. It's like, so that's where we see these things become very functional. It's like a combination of both is the key factor.
Not just all cuff work all the time.
Yes, in my opinion. In my opinion, it's the legal thing to get away from people shotting. In my opinion. Yeah. So we're gonna go through like a cable lateral raise. I like cables. Dumbbells are not bad. Good variation. I understand like the different resistance profile between dumbbells and cables. We're gonna use a cable in this instance. So there's two key factors that I want to take into account when we do a cable lateral raise or even like a dumbbell lateral raise. The first one is finding what we call like neutral scapular plane or scaption. So that's essentially where we take our arms out like around 30 degrees depending on the size of the rib cage. So 30 degrees where the scapula sits flush with the rib cage. That allows us to align the fibers of the delt more effectively. So neutral scapular plane puts us in a pretty standard and safe position. It also allows us to get a cross body with the cable and align the fibers of the delt very effectively for when we essentially want to challenge that. Second cue that I really like in terms of this, or second and third if you want to, is the opposite arm is always going to try and create some form of brace. So we're creating tension, we're creating a global stimulus or global amount of tension. So he's going to drive his hand into this as his support. And then the last one is he's going to think about punching his hands into the ground on the whole way up or away from him the whole time. That just essentially allows like our serratus and our stabilizing musculature of the shoulder to come into play and make sure that everything is nice and stable so that when we start creating tension through that delt, we're then aligned, like putting enough tension and putting the correct amount of tension in the right position onto the delt to effectively get a really challenging stimulus through the delt. Cable, side lateral delt, side lateral raise. Cable, side lateral raise. Three effective cues. First one that we're going to do is brace position. So hand against the opposite position that we're going to be driving our force in. Second one that we're going to do is we are going to try push our hand into the floor and push away from us through the whole movement. Third one is what we call neutral scapular plane, or the correct positioning which we want to put the delt into, which is slightly away from our body, roughly 30 degrees, as you can see Matt demonstrating over here.
Now I'm going to do it. So counter force here.
Run better?
Yeah. Nailed that.
That was like 30 spots. You asked for a minute and I gave you 30.
Sounds like me in the bedroom.
Yeah. Lost a minute, Matty. I'll do one minute. I'll give you 30 seconds.
It's good.
Standing at the blood is just like cooling more and more and more into my fucking guts. It's fucking.
I'm going to show you, James.
Yeah, the rest of the extended now.
No, look.
Oh, yeah.
That's perfect. For my size, that's good mobility. That's flexion.
That's it. That's neutral back here.
No,
I
don't
promise
think so.
you.
Look at that then. That's still
That's not that you pinching your jaw and delta. Promise you. It's not. It's too high. It's too low. You can feel that.
Says the guy with the big triceps.
I'm just saying. So it's like all you're doing is like you're then. That's their neutral. You think about that scapular plane. Scapular plane. You have to be in scapular plane for shoulder stability. That's not scapular plane. And you're extending. Bring this down.
Yeah,
Down,
just
down,
like-
down, down. There. So now we got to line up. Look, you can't get over here. See what I'm saying? So it's like I need the cable to run there. So it's just under your tricep or under your elbow. It's like go to your elbow. And you'll feel you'll no, a little up. Yep. Right now. Sit. Stay slightly this time. better tricep.
Yeah, I felt it was good. I was just saying, I
You
thought
were going to,
I
so
was
you
trying to
just
prove
load
that I
structure.
could
You can't. Much better. Relax the bicep at the end, yeah? So this must be nice and relaxed. Relax. Beautiful. Yeah. It's like no.
I wasn't arguing that it wasn't good. I just thought, I've got better range, I've got access.
Don't.
But I don't, he says.
But that's the idea, is like at least now we're gonna, the goal is to get there though. That's the key thing. It's like don't just stay there. The idea is to slowly work into those ranges. It's like if we can't get there without loading structure, it's like we're taking away from our ability to load musculature. It's like that's what we want. We don't want to load joints, we want to load muscles. So that's set up with that slight scan. Like as you pull, try to think elbow forward.
Elbow forward?
Yeah. That's good though. It's like think that you're going to throw that punch through the air. Good. Good. So there's two cues. I'm like relaxing into pinky and then into index finger. Like, what are we doing? We're going external rotation to force external rotation and get into that lengthened position. And then we need internal rotation to produce force. Force is what we want through the tricep. So the tricep needs to internally rotate, the shoulder needs to internally rotate to produce force and to shorten the tricep. So the cue is pinkies on the relaxed, mid finger on the end. It's like punch and drive. And it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, if I was going to punch you, I'm going to internally rotate. I can't punch you like this. There's no force. It's like fucking, you can do nothing. It's like the same principle has to happen when we do any type of pressing movement or we're trying to press and produce force. It's like, we have to think, how do I get into internal rotation in that end range to make sure that I'm driving that mechanical tension through that force production.
That makes sense, yeah. That's a good cue. Pinky to mid finger. External to internal at the end.
That's what she said.
You got to get it to relax on the external to make sure that there's force for the internal. That's what you got to do.
Go like that. We go like that. Turn the handle over like that. And now we can do like that or overhead, which we're about to do. That's way better with the...
You can punch better. You get that, like, you get the feedback.
Yeah.
So you get the feedback of like, oh, this is the punch, this is where that internal rotation is for that force production. It's like as that relaxes back, you can actually feel the grip pressure change. It's the same principles like when we talk about feet and squatting. We go, I'd like to go like we can go to maybe do like just heavy fucking curls, dumbbell curls, and then we'll go like a length and range curl and we're done.
Sounds good. Tony, not only does he have the old school equipment, he has also the new school prime equipment. Obviously, that's what we were using yesterday. We didn't have access to this row though. This is the seated row. We did the extreme row yesterday at Mike, so it's great to see Tony's got some awesome equipment in here as well. This one I actually haven't even used at all. If I wasn't so sore from yesterday, I'd give it a roll.
I'm fine with that, and then go like cable length. Yeah.
Pump. Alright.
Down. So don't let the lowest come forward when you go. Like almost drag it up.
Grail it is.
Oh, length of position gets me. But good. This way. Good, mate. Nice. Give me. I'm not passing. Relax.
Yeah.
Don't do a double wide. Hit it.
I can't even curl it at the moment. Oh, the blood. Good. Let's make it fun. Really strong, man. On them guns. Well, that's it, fam. That's all she wrote. And we're very hungry. We need to eat. I'm behind on calories, but I will make up for it. Don't you worry. This has been great just being here. Honestly, the vibe. I've only had the opportunity of training once a while ago in Melbourne, and just seeing all this, if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will if you're in the bodybuilding scene. But just in general, I think just in health and fitness, just seeing all these incredible physiques. And what Tony's created here is absolutely awesome. Thanks, James, man, for putting that session together for me today. Well, normally it would be a rest day. That's why we didn't want to do anything too fucking hectic. So we're able to train next week.
Yeah.
But in saying that, it was a great pump. So, yeah, thank you, Corey. It's been awesome having Corey back on board. It's been a while, like we said yesterday. I think, yeah, if you're enjoying what we're doing, you want to learn a little bit more, then subscribe, like, comment. And yeah, honestly, throw some comments down. If there's more you want to see, anything you're not happy with, let me know. That's the only way that we can make this better. So,
That's it.
yeah,
Till next
thank
time.
you. Till next time.